Hello and welcome to Worldwide Academy Training Services Safe Houses and Home Protection presentation. My name is Donna Ruggiero. I'm the Executive Director and Instructor for this course. Little about WATS. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing you with reality-based learning solutions in the areas of emergency medical, emergency preparedness, personal and workplace safety and security, personal development, and academics. Our vision is to build community in each of these areas, to educate our students, train them to perform the skills necessary for today's environments, and release them to be of assistance to their families, in their workplaces, and communities. We'd love for you to continue to communicate with us via our website, Facebook, and Instagram pages, and email if you so choose to. We have many topics and trainings we'd like to share with you. Okay, let's get going. So our topic today is urban survival, specifically safe houses and home protection. If we're living in an urban area and the situation, such as severe winter weather, a lockdown, or martial law, does not allow us to move from our homes or travel to a safer location, how do we protect and care for ourselves, our families, and even our neighbors? In this presentation, I want to give you some things to think about. Our objectives include learning to harden the security of your home or safe house, and to develop urban security skills for the present and uncertain times ahead. As you can see, we are going to briefly cover these topics: the preparedness cycle, urban security, common security measures, sound and light discipline, OCOKA, defensive measures, personal preparedness, perimeter defense, fire safety. And just be aware that we can do an entire teaching or training on each one of these topics. But for this presentation, I'm just going to briefly touch on each one to give you an idea of the kinds of things you need to be thinking about where your safe house or home protection is concerned. Okay, let's take a look at the emergency preparedness cycle. Let's say you want to implement emergency preparedness plans for your family. You decide to start with making sure you and/or your family maintains a food supply for at least a month in case an event disables the food supply chain, so the stores can't be restocked. Long before this becomes a problem, you begin to plan how much to spend for extra food to store, the type of foods, where to buy it, and how it will be stored safely and securely. Decide where the food should be stored, how it should be stored, and the process or procedure to make sure the food is rotated out to avoid spoilage, how the food will be distributed and served. Are there any specific dietary needs? Then we organize. Designate who's going to monitor the storage and distribution process. Will there be a daily menu? Who creates and coordinates it? Train. Learning how to best prepare the foods. Make sure everyone in my group has some type of knowledge of what food is available and how to prepare it. Make sure everyone knows the types of food that are available to them. Make sure we have the utensils, tools, and supplies needed to store, prepare, and serve, and if needed, to dispose of the food. And then it's time to evaluate. This is your periodic dry runs or drills. Try to create a scenario as realistic as possible to duplicate the conditions which you may find yourself having to use the different types of food that you have stored. Did your plan work? Has the food been rotated correctly? Did you have the right utensils, tools, and supplies? Do members of the group need their training updated? Does the type of choice of food need to be changed? Do we need more food or less? Are the storage method and facilities adequate? This is the point where we see the hidden cracks and weaknesses in our planning. Security for ourselves and for our family is a big consideration when planning for our safe homes in an urban area. We need to plan and practice for situations without rule of law, where laws no longer exist. Martial law will usually be declared and in effect. There may be a scarcity of resources during these times: water, electricity, fuel oil, gas, etc. The population, of course, will be denser in an urban area. More people, more needs, more chance for panic and trouble. And how will you cook and store your food in these situations? Here's an activity that you could do with your family or team regarding common security measures. It's called Protect the Pack. This activity builds pack mentality. It's one of numerous activities that you can involve your children in. In smaller teams, blindfolded team members must be guided into a pen by the pack leader giving them verbal commands. At the same time, a blindfolded predator is trying to grab them. The team that pens the most members of their pack without being caught wins the challenge. This activity can also be done with a single team. Some questions you can ask after you've played to evaluate how well the team did are: was there a plan? Did it work? Why or why not? How did the pack members feel? How did the leader feel? What could have been done differently? Why are you only aware of that now? Here are some lessons we can learn from this family activity. The pack does not see what the leader sees. The leader never quits or leaves the pack. The pack must trust the leader. The pack must communicate perfectly. The leader can study the predator. The leader must know and be attentive to the needs of each pack member. Let's continue on to sound and light. Sound and light discipline is something we might never think about if we have never been in a dangerous or lockdown situation. We need to consider the outsider's view into our home. What kinds of curtains do we have hanging? Are they sheer or opaque? If we're trying to give the appearance of no one in the home and we're using flashlights, a good idea might be to cover the light with green or red lens cellophane. What about our animals? How will they react to noises or people outside our homes or at our doors? And what about children in the home? How will you train them? We need to consider things like electronic devices. Cell phone sounds turned off, the brightness turned off. Wi-Fi routers broadcast a signal. In a worst-case scenario, we may need to remove the batteries out of smoke detectors. If this is the case, someone must be awake at all times to keep watch in case of fire or smoke. What other things can you think of? Our next topic is OCOKA, an acronym. Let's go through each letter. O stands for observation. We need to find a place to observe who's coming before they get to the house. C stands for cover and concealment. Cover protects you. Concealment only hides you. O, obstacles. What obstacles can we place in our homes to protect us? And what obstacles may hinder us? K stands for key terrain or positions, natural or man-made, which, if controlled, is to the advantage to the one who controls it, like a hilltop or a choke point, or the only entrance in or out of a building, for example. And A stands for avenues of approach. These are ways people can get into our homes. It is ideal to have someone stationed at each entrance and the attic, if you have one, to be a lookout. At Worldwide Academy Training Services, we've developed a program which we call Philoso. It comes from the Greek word meaning to guard, to protect. Philoso teaches a personal protection system and also promotes systems that are reality-based or reality-based training. This training consists of concepts, skills, and techniques that practitioners are most likely to have to manage in a violent encounter. Under the topic defensive measures, we learn hand-to-hand combat and de-escalation skills, defense against and the use of various weapons, improvised and otherwise, to primarily avoid and/or to escape an attacker. This is taught as a single system where practitioners develop the ability to seamlessly transition between unarmed and armed techniques. What tools or things do you have in your home which you can improvise in the event that you need to protect yourself or your family? We need to seriously consider fire safety during a time of isolation or lockdown. There can possibly be real threats, man-made and natural. Check our smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and extinguishing agents such as salt, baking soda, water, sand, talcum powder, or dirt. What kinds of equipment or tools might we find necessary? Do we have any breaching tools, something that can break through plywood, cinder, walls? Do we have utility gloves? These are just some considerations. So far, we've discussed many practical topics and asked some thought-provoking questions regarding keeping our homes safe and our loved ones protected. But what about our own personal preparedness? Are we physically fit to handle a crisis which may require us to safely and efficiently protect our homes and families? Another thing to keep in mind is, what about medications? What can we do to prepare for a situation where we cannot go outside the home nor have anyone deliver those medications? Do we have a medical bag? And just as important, if not the most important, are we spiritually prepared? Let's face it, we really cannot be prepared for every situation or circumstance. Where do we stand spiritually? Who in the family is the leader where this is concerned? Finally, we don't want to invoke fear in you, nor should your family fear. However, we all know that for the most part, most of us have never faced a crisis situation like we are planning for now. I'd like to think that I would be fearless in such circumstances, but the truth is, depending on what's happening, I may be very fearful. And nothing ever works out exactly as we have practiced. But if we plan, practice, and drill the skills we learn, we should be able to respond and act instead of react. So I want to encourage you to follow the emergency preparedness cycle. Plan, organize, train, equip, exercise, evaluate, take corrective action, and start over again. It's never too late. Start where you're at and teach others. We hope you found this training beneficial and that you will join us for future trainings and classes both on-site and online. For more information, please go to our website, email us, or give us a call. And don't forget to visit our Facebook and Instagram pages where you can interact with us and others. So for now, stay safe, be well, and remember to drill the skills.